What's up, everybody? Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, is PGA Tour player Andrew Novak. We're going to be going over everything NFL from what we saw in week three. We're going to be getting into the fantasy football and what you need to know. And lastly, we'll be going over the gambling lines of the week and where to throw your money. What's up, Andrew? How was your week three of football?
How's it going, man? It was pretty good. Uh, got a little bit of action in, so yeah, excited to talk about it. Excited to do our first episode.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, this is our first episode, so we'll be dropping episodes every Wednesday. So stay up to date. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and we'll be posting our videos to YouTube. All that's at screenplay_podcast. So two games last night, Monday night games. First of all, I want to say two games on Monday night. I'm completely out on that. I hate it. Where do you feel about that?
Yeah. So last week, week two was the first time they did it, and I was actually at the Panthers game. I'm a Panthers fan for background.
All right.
So I didn't understand, the whole situation with watching two games at once. Yeah, it was rough. If they're gonna do that, they need like red zone. They need something going to keep like I can't go back and forth like that.
That's exactly how
It
I
was not my
feel. Like
favorite.
two games on at
Now,
once without red zone just doesn't work for me. Like
right,
even my
yeah,
girlfriend yesterday was like, "Yeah, but what about that thing where you
yeah,
can watch all the games at once?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's on Sunday. It doesn't
yeah.
happen
I was
tonight."
uh
So,
I was not a huge fan. Now, the previous week, everybody probably just flipped off the Panthers Saints game and didn't bother watching that with for good reason. But yeah, last night had a little bit of interest in both games. The Eagles game did kind of get out of hand, but it was still a game up into the third quarter before they started kind of pulling away.
yeah, both I mean, these
So
Monday night games in general have just been ugly football. We got Philly winning
yeah,
25-11, Bengals winning 16-19. Teams just haven't been playing well on Monday night, for whatever
yeah.
reason that is.
It's kind of flipped. Previously it's been, the Thursday night games have been horrible, and then the Monday nights, usually have been a little better. But so far there's been actually some, that Vikings Eagles Thursday night game was a great game.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So now Giants, put up a little bit of a stinker on Thursday, but
Yeah, the Giants
still
just haven't been
it's
playing well.
you kind of come to expect, the Thursdays are kind of gross and the Mondays are good, but hadn't quite been that way yet.
Right. I mean, Philly 3-0.
Hmm.
Haven't even played well yet, I don't think. And they're
No,
kind they're kind of
I
just pushing people around.
I would say defensively they've been pretty strong, but offensive they've run the ball well. It's just hasn't been the big chunk plays that we kind of came to know from last year. Um,
Yeah, I think that's
you
what they're going
know,
to be this year, a running team. I mean, they had 200 yards of rushing last night, and I think we're going to see that a lot this year.
yeah, it may just be coming down to how teams are playing them now. Playing more over the top. We saw that happen with Mahomes. Teams started taking away the deep ball. If teams are really playing them over the top, making sure that they're not letting AJ Brown and Devontae Smith get behind them, then yeah, they're gonna give the ball to Swift. They're gonna play underneath and let the offensive line eat.
Yeah. And then we got Burrow, who, if you watched him last night, clearly was not 100%. Wasn't getting in his full 5, 6, 7 step dropbacks. Was throwing short little passes all over the field. I mean, they got the win, but it was ugly, and clearly Burrow was hurt. I mean, the entire franchise is literally leaning on his calf. If that calf goes, the
Yeah,
season's done.
it's a little bit concerning to me considering they're in the AFC North. They're going to see Miles Garrett twice. They're going to see TJ Watt twice. The Ravens love putting pressure. I know it's a muscle, it's a soft tissue, but he's going to have to move. He can't just stand like he can't be a statue in the pocket.
No, no.
And yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we've seen the
Hopefully,
Bengals start slow like over the past couple of
right.
years and pick it
Yes.
up, but I'm getting a different feeling this year. I'm not feeling like we're gonna get that same like okay, like 0-2, whatever, and then pop
Yeah.
off like we've seen.
It was nice to see Chase get a bit more involved yesterday, but yeah, it's still it was ugly. I mean,
Yeah,
it just wasn't quite like the Bengals that we've come to expect.
right. All right. So big story this week: Arizona, seemingly the worst team in the league, takes down Dallas, who people think was either the first or second best team in the league. Clearly that's not the case. Clearly Arizona is not the worst team in the league. They played hard last week.
Yeah.
Should have beat the Giants. Go out and beat Dallas this week. We all thought they were going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes going into next year. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, not the way this team's playing. I don't know if it's coaching staff or what, but man, they are showing up. They're playing hard. They're moving guys on the offensive line. They're playing good football right now. They're 1-2 and they've been in the other games. Like absolutely, it's a team that's not just an absolute joke like everybody thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, Dobbs is playing a lot better than I think everyone
Mhm.
expected. You got James Conner in the backfield who, yeah, I mean, getting high volume and running well.
Mhm. He's
Yeah,
been explosive, like
explosive. Yeah,
which is shocking. I mean, he's ripping off, 10, 15-yard runs. This is something you don't really, you kind of were expecting to see like David Johnson of 3 or 4 years ago for the Cardinals, where it was, he gets 15, 20 carries, but every single one's 2, 3 yards. I mean,
right.
he's chunking, he's getting chunks.
I know I have him on my fantasy team, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah,
How big of a
same.
concern is this for Dallas? I mean, they're 2-0 to start. They're blowing teams out. Their defense looks good. And then this week, Trayvon Diggs gets hurt, done for the season, and Dallas loses to the Cardinals. Is this Trayvon Diggs injury a concern to you?
It's definitely a concern. Anytime you lose, one of your top players, it's not. I mean, that's not going to be a nothing situation.
Right.
Uh, I do think that even in the first couple games where they dominated, they were a little bit susceptible to getting the ball run on them. There were some holes. Saquon and we saw what I think Brees had a few good runs against them as well. But anyway, if you can attack the Cowboys, I think there is a little bit of a chance to be able to run the ball on them. Throwing the ball, I mean, you're leaving yourself to get sacked by Micah, and it was the secondary. Now they've lost Diggs, and there's a
Right.
little shuffling going on there.
I
But
mean, I still
I
think
think
they're going to have games where they blow teams out this year, and you're going
I
to think they're the
yes,
best team in the league. And then we're going to
yes.
get some stinkers like this where
Well, I
you
think they got
just,
up so early in those first couple games. The teams kind of had to get away from the run, and when the Cowboys get up and you're forced to throw, that's where they want you, because then they can start attacking. They can
right. And I
pin their
mean, in
ears back
Dak's,
and just come after you,
yeah.
and that's when it just absolutely starts snowballing because they start getting strip sacks, they start turning you over,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's how they get the big blowouts. But once
And
Arizona got up early last week, it kind of changed the dynamic of that game.
yeah, and
But
when Dallas gets down, I mean, Dak's not really the guy you want back there trying to lead your team back. I mean,
yeah,
he's 7-16 when throwing 40 or more passes. They're a running team, so I mean, their recipe to win is get up big, run the ball with Pollard. I mean,
I
Dak's
absolutely agree.
15th in passer rating last year, 16th in passer rating this year. It's kind of just what he is. I don't think he's really going to change from that.
Yeah, it's and that's kind of what I was getting back to. It's just like there's they have too many good players on offense not to be hitting explosive plays. I don't understand. I feel like Dak is kind of part of the issue. Like they should be hit. They have Gallup. They have Brandon Cooks, who's not a bad. If that's your third wide receiver, that's not that bad. I mean,
No, they
CD,
got
he's a
weapons. Yeah,
beast.
Dak is
They
definitely
have
part of the
guys,
issue
and
there.
it just seems to be just kind of now the run game is good, but it just seems like it takes a lot for them to get down the field. They need like the kind of the longer drives that are more drawn out. They don't really have that quick strike ability, which I feel like in Dak's first few years they kind of had. I feel like he was hitting Gallup on some deep balls. They were hitting some bigger plays, and we just haven't really seen that at all.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the next story. Dolphins put up a 70 burger. Just sounds weird to say 70 burger. Maybe
You want
just
to talk
put up
about big
70.
plays, man? Oh
I
my
know. I mean,
goodness,
Dolphins look good. Tua before the year started says he wants 2,000 yards. Right now he's got 412.
Tyreek.
He needs about 1,600 yards rest of the year to catch that 2,000 yard mark. Do you think he's going to do that?
I think we're going to see a really fun 1-2 back and forth punch counter punch race for 2000 with Tyreek and Justin Jefferson.
Oh,
I
you think
think
Jefferson's going to get there too?
I he's at what 450 already. I mean, he's up there as well. I
Yeah,
think as long as the Vikings don't trade Kirk Cousins, which is a
they may.
concern,
They may.
I
Yeah.
I really hope that doesn't happen. I want them to keep him because I want to see this two-man race chasing down 2000. I could see that being a huge storyline and be really fun to follow. as the season's ending. But
Yeah,
yes, I
everyone's talking
absolutely,
about Tyreek, but
absolutely think.
I guess people are forgetting
Um,
that Justin Jefferson's down there getting a lot of
mhm.
yards when they're 0-3.
Yeah, I think he's had right around 150 every single game.
Yeah,
Um, so and I mean was now a 17 game season. That's absolutely on pace.
right. So
So I think Tyreek is probably slightly the favorite just because
right.
he can go off for 200 plus any given week to get to that 2000. But I would love to see both of those guys battling it out to hit that mark.
Yeah. So how bad is this going to get for Denver? I mean, they're 0-3. Um, Sean Payton's clearly upset, just kind of being rude to the media. Russell Wilson's playing better.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not all of his fault. It's
I don't
definitely
know.
some of his fault, but like what are they gonna do? I mean, if they tank and get 2 or 3 wins, and I mean they can't take a quarterback, can they? They got Russell Wilson on there. They haven't even started
Do
paying him big
they
yet.
do what year was the first they gave up for Peyton? Was it this past draft or I actually don't even know that, but beside the point, you don't give up 70 without there was some give up. There was some I mean, guys didn't want to be out there after they'd had 50 dropped on them. And
It's almost like they're losing the
there
locker
is
room and they're three
there
weeks into the
yes,
season.
there are some issues like that. This is the kind of game where that can kind of hang around.
Right.
You give up 70. They play a bad Bears team this week, is that
I know.
correct?
I was gonna say like they're 0-3 and we
So
think it's bad now. If they lose this
they
next week to the
need
Bears, it
they
it
need to
could
win
get
that game. If
they
they
got to
lose
win
to the
that game.
Bears, it's I mean,
If they
season's
lose to
gone.
the Bears, I think Wilson hits the bench and we're talking about just completely changing this team up. I mean,
I don't know, man. Yeah. I feel like it's funny. Like I feel like Wilson was actually worse last year. I feel like he's actually made some good throws this year. He's done some good things. I think Marvin Mims in that offense has
yeah,
actually helped
Mims is playing well.
open up the
Yeah,
deep ball for him, which has been good. But yeah, there is something definitely wrong in Denver right now, and they need this Bears game badly.
they do. Jets lose again to the Patriots. I thought that was kind of expected. We had it in my picks last week. I mean, when you turn on the TV, this is all they're talking about. Like, what are the Jets going to do? What are they going to do with Wilson? Um, you hear talks of, trying to go get Kirk Cousins,
Yeah.
trying to
I
bring in
saw
other QBs. They actually
they
signed
just
Simeon
signed.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but I
saw
mean,
that. That's
that I don't
we're not
what I
doing
don't
that again, are we? Like, come
no,
on.
I don't know what we're supposed to do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
don't think
I
you
don't
can go and get Kirk Cousins here, pay him for the rest of the year. Like they're not even a playoff
it
team
depends.
they're
So
not
I
even a
was looking at
playoff
it.
team to start with. You bring Kirk in, you're still gonna have a poor rest of the year. I feel like the only reason you
That's
go and get another QB is like to prove to the guys in the locker room that like we're not tanking the season. But I mean,
I think that defense is good enough and they have
they are
weapons
good.
though.
The defense is
If
good.
they get a quarterback, they could make the playoffs. I think it is possible. The
Yeah, they got to
problem
go through Bills
is
twice. They got to go through Dolphins. They got to play
yeah,
Jets. I mean,
it has to
it's
be a bit of a difference maker at quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins is a good enough quarterback that they could do it with him. Now, can you get the offense in quickly enough? I don't know. And do the Vikings even want to move Kirk Cousins? I don't think, even though the Vikings are the dreaded 0-3,
I
that's
still think
so
they could
hard to
come
recover
back and
from.
have a
I
season.
think
Yeah.
they're the
I
one
don't
0
think they're
3
trying to
team that
get rid of
can.
Kirk Cousins like
Yes.
everyone's saying.
Now the Vikings do get a freebie against the Panthers this week because we'll talk about it later. But the
Yeah, we will
Panthers
talk
are
about
not
that
winning that
later in our
game.
picks.
As this is coming from a biased Panthers fan, we are not winning that game. But the Vikings do not have an easy schedule in this earlier part. They do have the Chiefs coming up. They have the 49ers coming up. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be looking at 5 losses pretty early in the season. So it's not completely out of the question that they could look to move him. But I just don't see the Vikings
I don't
really
see
doing
them
it.
making a
They have
move this year.
no,
I see them sticking with
I think,
Wilson, gutting this out,
yeah,
and restarting next year.
yeah,
I
I
mean, let's
agree.
just say you do bring Kirk Cousins in.
Hmm.
I don't think they get enough wins to get to the
Yeah,
playoffs. I think it's a pointless move. I think
yeah.
you just got to stick it out with Wilson, and
Let the year, yeah.
hopefully you get.
I mean, it's
I
if you get a
mean,
better draft pick, there's going to be some wide receivers available. You go get another,
yeah,
wide receiver 2 to pair up with Wilson, healthy Rodgers back the next year. Run it back, and it sucks. Injuries suck, and losing a franchise quarterback sucks. But
yeah,
I think you just kind of got to eat the year and hope Wilson can
Yeah, I think
maybe
I
turn it
think this
around or
year's
something.
kind of gone to the garbage, and you just got to look forward to next year at this point.
Feel bad for those Jets fans, man. They have not had a whole
I
lot
mean, New
to.
York's just had a bad year. I mean, you
Yeah.
thought the Mets were going to be good too, bringing in
Oh,
all those players, and then
we were okay with them being bad, but
not a good year for New York. All right, another team that's not doing great is the Bears. Got to talk about them. 0-3. People were definitely higher on the Bears this year. Thought Fields in his third year was going to get it together. And it does not look good. It looks really bad. They can't move the ball. They can't stop anyone. You got Fields blaming coaches to the media. You bring him in weapons. You bring DJ Moore in, and still just can't get it going. What do you think they do here? I mean,
yeah, I
they
think they
got they
just
got a game
lose.
against Denver this week, 2-0-3 teams. Chance to get a win here and get it going. But what do you think they do?
I think they just continue to lose. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean, we got a
yeah,
bunch of good
I
quarterbacks
don't.
coming up here in the draft. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
let's
don't
just
know
let's just
what
say
you do.
The Bears get first or second overall pick this year. Are you rolling with Fields, or are you taking another
No,
guy?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm taking Caleb Williams. If they have first pick, yeah, no, not going with Fields. We're gonna.
I mean, Fields will be going into his fourth year, and you're obviously not going to pay this
Yeah.
guy. They finished towards the bottom. I think we're
I mean,
both in that. Bears
you might
are looking
see
at a
Fields
new coach
play.
and GM and quarterback.
Yeah, I could see Fields play. First 2-3 games or something before Caleb comes in.
Right.
Because he's still on like you keep him for that fourth year. But yeah,
I'm
I
out
think you
on
absolutely go
I'm out
quarterback.
on drafting these guys from big time schools who have loaded wide receivers. I mean, Ohio State loaded wide receivers comes into the league,
Are
think he's going to be great, and
you out on Caleb Williams though? Or
he's at USC. I mean, he's got good
he
guys
had
around
Jordan
him.
Addison last year.
I
He's
know,
he's
but
got studs
he's
all
different.
over.
He's proved at two different schools, two different places that yeah, that he can't miss. I mean, this is
Yeah,
a can't miss
I
guy.
agree. I think it's honestly it's a bit of an Ohio State issue. It appears to be
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
more so than everyone. But yeah,
Um,
definitely some concern in Chicago.
yeah. So Jordan Love, comeback win this week. They get some
Mhm.
luck with Carr going down, but still 2-1, and Jordan Love looks serviceable. He
He
looks
looks
like he
good.
is going to be in Green Bay for the next 5 to 10 years to come. I think.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nothing
I
special. It's
feel
nothing
bad for the
crazy,
NFC
but
North.
yeah,
I
the
mean,
Green
you
Bay
just
just continues to keep finding a
keep it going.
quarterback that gets him going.
Yeah, no, he's been pretty efficient. Not a ton of yards, but
He's
he's
had
been getting
Christian
some
Watson's been
touchdowns.
out, and he's still been playing well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that'll really open things up when you have a guy like that. Defense really has to account for that speed on the field. And I think I saw a report that said he's planning on playing on Thursday this
I
week
did. Yeah,
against the
yeah.
Lions.
I think he
So
is back this week.
I will definitely have my eye on that Thursday night game. That should be a good one.
Should be. I mean, I don't Lions and Green Bay. Yeah, two pretty good teams there. I think that'll be a good matchup.
Yeah.
49ers kill the Giants. I think everyone kind of expected that. I think everyone kind of
Yeah.
had their money on the 49ers covering that line. Saquon's out. Giants look terrible. Um, 49ers look really explosive, really good,
Mhm.
solid all the way around.
Yeah.
Um, Daniel Jones, I mean, you just paid this guy. He's getting all this money. He's 1-11 in primetime games, and he's getting paid. What are the Giants going to do? I mean, it doesn't look even with Saquon playing, it doesn't look like they can do a whole lot.
Yeah.
And you're kind of stuck here. I mean, unless Daniel Jones
I
turns it
don't
on and
know.
starts playing well, this is what he is, and this is what you're stuck with for the next 4 or 5 years.
The Giant, I don't know what to take out of the Giants so far. They have played one good half of football
Yep,
in 3 games. And it was a really good half of football.
it
Now
was
it was
really
against a
good. Yeah,
Cardinals team that everybody's kind of down on, but we
yeah. I
talked
think
about
it
earlier. I
was.
mean, we don't think the Cardinals are a complete pushover, but the other 5 halves have been so bad. I mean,
I mean, they
they
win the
scored
first 6 quarters
0-0-0.
they played.
Yeah,
First
they
six
didn't
quarters they
score.
played, they were down 60-0.
Yes. I mean,
That's a
I
crazy
don't
stat.
he threw for 100 yards in the first game. Then he threw for 300 yards against the Cardinals, but I think
He
250
then
of that
goes
was
for
the
the
second
number one
half.
quarterback spot in fantasy in week 2, and then comes
And then he
back
throws for
and can't.
100 yards in the third game. Like
The
it makes
inconsistency
no
level is
sense.
insane.
I don't know. He has, some decent receivers. I know Saquon being out obviously hurts, but they went out and got Waller. I don't know what more else they can do. They paid him a ton of money. Like, if you're going to pay him that much money, he has enough weapons where he should be able to figure it out
It's
and
weird. He'll look
make them
good one week,
functional.
and the next week
Yeah,
he'll struggle. It's just you'll be like, oh, Daniel
I
Jones
don't know.
deserved the money, and the next week it's oh shoot, we paid this guy. That's not good.
Yeah, I really don't
Um,
know. I think the Giants are just going to ride the roller coaster
yeah,
and hope there's more ups and downs. But
yeah,
I don't know. In that division, it's going to be a tall task for them for sure.
yeah. So 49ers look good.
Mm,
Purdy looks good, and I really like Purdy as a quarterback. I mean, he really hasn't lost a game. He lost the playoff game, but he got hurt. As
yeah,
a regular season starter, this guy just hasn't lost. I mean, he's making great throws. Um,
I don't
he
know. He is good. He is good. Great game manager. Feeds the guys the ball, but he's got some like magic wizard powers, man. I don't know how he didn't throw like 4 picks in the first half of that game. Like, he gets away with quite a few throws. Like, I feel like when I'm watching him, I mean, he is putting balls in harm's way at times, and guys just don't make the plays. So I don't know. I
all
think he's
right.
a good quarterback.
I think I like him a little more than you do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a
I'm
feeling it's
not,
not just the 49ers offense, and this guy would work anywhere.
man. I see. I think a lot of it's Shanahan. I think a lot of it's Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey,
He does
and
have weapons
Kittle.
everywhere. He doesn't have to do anything crazy. They don't ask him to do anything crazy.
Yeah,
He's got to make a couple throws a game and just put the ball
yeah,
in the right spot. That's what he's doing. But I have a feeling that, he is better than
yeah.
what people say.
I do agree he's perfect for the team, and that team's going to go for it. I absolutely think they can win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy.
All
I
right.
mean,
So let's
I
play
do
a game
believe
here.
that.
Let's play a game here. We're gonna go Purdy, or I'm gonna give you another quarterback, and you're gonna tell me who you're taking.
Is this in the Shanahan offense with those weapons?
Nope, just in general, and
Just in
ignore,
general.
and
Okay.
yep, and just ignore the salary, how much he's being paid,
Yeah, yeah.
anything. Just two QB comparisons here. Which QB are you taking to start your franchise with? Are we going Purdy or Tua?
Tua.
Are we
Absolutely.
going Purdy or Mac Jones? I think these guys are pretty similar. I
Uh,
think if you take Mac and put him
yeah.
in the 49ers offense, that it's
I'll
pretty
probably
similar
take
here.
Brock Purdy. I'll probably take Brock Purdy, but yeah, that's kind of about where I have that leveled out. Yeah.
What about Purdy or Dak Prescott?
Uh, I think. Oh man. Uh,
I like Purdy here. Doesn't turn the ball
I
over nearly as much as Dak.
I might take Purdy. Yeah, I'll probably take Purdy.
Purdy or Jared Goff?
I'm a Jared Goff believer. I think Jared Goff, especially in that 49ers offense, would go crazy. So I'm actually going to go Jared Goff on that one. Although, wait, are we taking age into account for this? You said start a franchise. Like,
Let's go no age
okay,
into
then
account.
it just as a quarterback, yeah, I actually will take Jared Goff.
Purdy or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk. I'm a Kirk believer.
Oof. All right.
Absolutely a Kirk believer.
Purdy or Derek Carr?
Purdy on that one.
All right. And then last one, I'm gonna go a different style of quarterback. Purdy or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts. What kind of
All
question is
right.
that? Man's a beast.
All right. So we've seen 3 weeks of football. I'm gonna go into our top 10 power rankings of what we've seen here so far. At number 10, we got the Seahawks, 29 points per game, only one turnover, young team. They look good. At the 9, we got the Ravens. They were 2-0. We thought they were a little better than they were, but they got a ton of injuries. I think 9 starters were out this week, lost this week, still got them in the top 10 at 9. At number 8, we're going Lions, 10-3 since week 9 of last year. Week 1 win over the Chiefs. We got Lions at 8. Number 7, we got the Browns. Only 490 yards allowed through 3 games. That's the lowest since 1970. They got the number 1 defense right now. Chubb's out, but Ford's come into place. He's running well.
That's been quietly too. People have not
Quiet,
really
yeah.
talked about what that defense has done, but they have been phenomenal.
Number 6, we got the Cowboys. They were up a little higher last week, just less the Cardinals dropped down. They still got to stay in the top 10. They're good. They got a great strong team. At 5, we got Buffalo. They're top 3 in both scoring offense and defense. Got a tough matchup this week with Miami, so we'll see. We'll see how they really are. 4, we got Chiefs. Great defense. Wide receivers right now are a little iffy. We'll see if they do anything before the trade deadline. But I think, they haven't even played well yet, but I think they'll figure it out. Mahomes has only been sacked once so far this year. Chiefs are good. At 3, we got the Eagles, 3-0. Offensive and defensive line are stacked. Last night was their 11th game of 200 rush yards since last year. So really running the ball well. 2, we got 49ers. That's the 7th straight game for Purdy without a pick, and they're scoring 30 plus points a game. And number 1, obviously, is the Dolphins. The only concern here, I think, is health. If they stay healthy, if Tua stays healthy, if Tyreek stays healthy, I think they'll be good all year. I mean, even Jalen Waddle didn't play last night and was hurt, and they're still killing teams.
Yeah, and the Dolphins actually have had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. They've been doing what they're doing with some guys out over there. So
yeah,
very impressive.
All right, let's get into fantasy. You play fantasy, I play fantasy. We love it. We hate it. It's awesome. I don't know. What app are you guys using for your fantasy league? Are you guys using ESPN or no?
I have 1 in ESPN. I've got 2 in Sleeper.
Yeah, we switched over to Sleeper this year, and I'll tell you what, I love it so much more.
Yeah, I think ESPN made some good changes this year. I've been pretty happy with ESPN this year, but yeah, we made the switch my home league to Sleeper a couple years ago. It's been good.
I think the storyline this year in fantasy has just been the injuries. I mean, obviously every year you're drafting players, players are going to get injured, but just the sheer number of injuries, the number 1 picks that just aren't playing, that didn't start week 1. It's crazy. I'm just going to read a couple off here just to see what we're looking at. I mean, Barkley, Richardson, Gainwell, Johnson, Cup, Jones, Beckham, Taylor, Chubb, Burrow, Eckler, Cooks, Myers, Chris Watson, Mike Williams this week, Carr out. I mean, when you scroll through your team's matchups and you're just looking through some of these squads, some people literally have 4 or 5 players on the bench with they're out.
Yeah. I mean, it's been rough. I've got a guy in my league that's had Eckler and Aaron Jones just sitting there doing nothing for 2. I mean, he's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
That's kind of fantasy. You gotta, hopefully you got the handcuff and you got to do what you can with the injuries. But yeah, it's been rough early in this year, and
yeah,
you just had to pivot. Now there have been options, guys like Kyron Williams and Puka in the Rams offense that have kind of popped up.
Yeah, there have been some guys that just you didn't know about that people are picking up and playing well. I mean, how's your team looking?
Pretty good. I've actually stayed well, other than I'm talking, my main team here, but other than Jalen Waddle, and I'm thinking that's probably just a 1-week thing, I've stayed mostly healthy, which has been great.
I've actually benefited from some of these injuries. Yeah. I mean, you never want to see people get injured, but I have I got Pickens who's getting more targets now. I got Allen on my team who's looking at 20 targets a game now with Mike Williams out.
That volume was insane last week.
Yeah, insane volume. But because of all these injuries, the waiver wire has been super hot. Just people picking people off all over. So let's take a look at some of these players on the waiver wire that you want to get with all these players out.
Yeah. I mean, probably the 2 biggest names you're seeing this week, just based on what he did last week. Devon Achane, that's proper pronunciation now.
The
What he
rookie
did last
from
week was
Miami.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I mean, running up and down the field, 200 yards on less than half the carries, maybe. I think he had about the same. And then also getting in the end zone in the air as well. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Definitely a guy to go grab and stash. Could go in the starting lineup if you think that Bills game will shoot out. If you want to see it again, if you're worried that most will be featured, that's fine to sit him as well. But definitely a guy you want on your team, and a guy with that level of talent you definitely want hanging around. And then on the wide receiver end, I'm gonna go with a guy that I've been all over since the offseason. He's a rookie, Tank Dell. I drafted him feeling like a real genius on that one. But he's absolutely been getting the targets and the volume in that Texans offense, which looks like a pretty good passing
Yeah,
offense.
CJ Stroud has like I believe it's the sixth most pass attempts this
Hmm.
season. So I mean
Yeah.
he is getting targets.
Yeah. He's over 900 yards, I believe, for 3 games. I mean, that's 300 yards a game. That's absolutely good volume and good opportunity in that offense for wide receivers.
Yeah. And we also got to look at Laporta up in
Hmm. Yes,
tight end
tight
up in
end.
the Lions.
He's been
May still be
great.
on the waiver wire, may still not be in your league,
Yeah,
but
I think.
definitely a guy to look at.
Yeah, if he's there, absolutely a guy to go get. Even if you've got a guy like a Kelsey or a Mark Andrews, if he's out there, go get him and figure it out later. You can trade one. There's value there.
Yeah. Um, so far, who has been your biggest bust for fantasy? That you were expecting some high volume numbers from.
Just in general, or
Yeah, yeah.
um, I mean, well, top busts are going to be guys that haven't played. Like, if you drafted a Jonathan Taylor, if you drafted a guy that basically, Cooper Cup that's been out. But for some guys that, I thought were going to be doing big things that really haven't, um, I would throw a guy that I was huge on that really has done nothing. Jahan Dotson. I thought he was going to be the
Mm,
guy in Washington, and that just really has not turned into anything so far.
yeah.
Also, Darren Waller.
Darren
I
Waller's
thought,
been disappointing. I mean, some of
yeah,
these teams with just weak offenses have been disappointing. I mean,
mhm,
basically anyone on the Jets, if you had
yeah,
Brees Hall, Dalvin Cook, even like Garrett
mhm,
Wilson, who was a first or second rounder, like
yeah.
he's just they're not putting up the numbers you thought.
I would also I'm going to throw Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence in there. Now,
Are you?
Joe's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
he's been
Well,
a little dinged up, but
hmm
both of them, you expect huge offenses, big numbers. You drafted them as probably top six, top seven quarterbacks, and you might as well have just been streaming for what they've been doing. So
right.
definitely disappointing there
I got to
so
throw
far.
Najee Harris in there too. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people kind of expected big things out of him, and
Mhm.
he's not getting the volume that people
No.
expected, or the
Yeah, he's
yards.
just I don't know. They're in a weird spot. They look so good in the preseason. There was hype around the Steelers.
I mean, they're two
Kenny
and one.
Pickett,
It's not
he's the
like they're a bad
guy.
team, but it's
No,
their
but
offense just doesn't have it
yeah,
going.
yeah. No, it's definitely Jalen Warren eating into some of the volume, some of the production there, and yeah, he's definitely been disappointing. I do want to highlight guy Josh Jacobs that has been
Yeah, I
disappointing.
have that down on
Guys
my
like
list
that.
here. Getting about 10 points per
But the
game. It's not like he's
volume is
getting
there.
nothing, but
The volume is there. I think if you have him, you're not really panicking yet.
you'd like
Um,
to see some more production than 10 points per
yeah,
game out
that
of
that
Jacobs.
offense has been pretty not great. So
Maybe with
uh,
Garoppolo out, they'll run the ball a little more or something. I don't know, but
they've been running it plenty. There just hasn't been a whole lot of room. He's kind of been the 1 yard run, 2 yard run, 1 yard.
yeah.
It's been pretty ugly so far. So
So let's get into some players that we have seen so far that have just exceeded expectations. I've got a couple on my fantasy roster. I had the best fantasy week of my life this week in week three. Put up nearly 170 points. I had Mozart, who I got in the 11th round, who is
mm,
currently the number one running back in fantasy.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Keenan Allen,
that's
who is the number one wide receiver, who also happens to be on my team. Um, got some other players going off here. Like Mike Evans is doing really well
Mike's
down
been
in
great in that
Tampa.
offense. Yeah.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey
Hmm.
is a fantasy cheat code if
Yeah.
you have him on
In
your
that
team.
offense, I mean, you're looking at 100 yards, probably at least in the end zone once every
I believe
week.
it's like 13 games
And
straight with a touchdown now or something
yeah,
like that. I
yeah.
mean,
Ever since he's got to San Fran, you can just book it. He's scoring, he's getting in the end zone at least once. He's going to get some catches,
yep.
yeah,
Um,
just absolute producer.
if you got Tyreek on your team, I mean, at
Mhm.
any game, he could pop off for 40 or 50 points and win you the week.
Yeah.
Richardson, he's injured right now, but he's looking like he's going to be a top 5 fantasy QB going
Yeah,
forward.
when healthy, he looks good, especially in those 4-point passing touchdown leagues
Yeah.
where a quarterback running the ball is even more valued. Absolutely, he's going to be a guy, I think, in that offense.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
interesting in the 6-point passing in the
right.
6-point passing touchdown leagues. You're looking at guys like Kirk Cousins or Tua that have really put up the huge numbers and um, passing yards, touchdowns,
Do
and
you think
stuff like
any of these
that.
guys are thinking about fantasy when they're out there? I thought about this the other day.
Some I know
Do you think
Austin
these guys are
Eckler.
catching a point, running 5 yards, and they're like, hell yeah, I just got 1.5 points from
I
my
know
boy back
Eckler's a
home?
big fantasy guy. He might. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sure most of them aren't, but that'd be funny if
Yeah.
they're out there like like I'm pumped. I got 36 points for my boys back home. I know they drafted me.
Mhm.
Um, all right, so that's for fantasy. Let's get into the gambling lines for week 4. Last week, if you followed the Instagram, we put out some locks, went 3-0. 9-4 on the year, went 3-4 last week. So off to a hot start. Let's see if we can improve that this week. I'm going to read through the lines here just to give everyone an idea of what's going on. Thursday night game, we got Lions at Packers. Packers getting a point. Sunday morning, 9:30 from London. Get a full,
First one of the year,
what
baby.
is it, 12, 30? We're going to have like 14 hours of straight football on Sunday.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So we got Falcons and Jags. Jags are favored by 3. And then moving into that 1 o'clock window, we got Dolphins at Bills, going to be a great game. Bills are favored by 2.5.
Game of the day for
Vikings at
sure.
Panthers. Panthers getting 3.5. Broncos at Bears. Bears getting 3 at home. Ravens at Browns. Browns are favored by 2.5. Steelers at Texans. Texans are getting 3. Rams at Colts. Colts are -1. Commanders at Eagles. Eagles are favored by 8. Bengals at Titans. Titans are getting 2.5. And then the later window, we got Raiders at Chargers. Chargers are a 6-point favorite. Pats at Cowboys. Cowboys are a 7-point favorite. Cards at 49ers. Biggest spread of the week, 14 points. 49ers are favored by 14 points. And then the Sunday night game, we got Chiefs at Jets. Jets are getting 10. And then Monday night, we got Seahawks at Giants. And the Giants are favored by 1.
You get that Buccaneers Saints game?
Oh, I'm
You've got
sorry. Yeah, we got Bucks and Saints, and the Saints are -3. Sorry. Yeah, we
yes.
got that.
That's in New Orleans.
That
So
is in New Orleans. So, I mean, just going through this board, we're on week 4 now. I think these lines are starting to get pretty accurate. It's pretty good. People are getting an idea of like what these teams are, and how they look. So we're gonna keep track of these bets as we go through the year. I've been starting since week 1. We're 9-4 for me, but we'll keep track of Andrews as he goes through too. So what are the 3 bets you're seeing that stick out for you right now?
you want me to go 3 in a row or one at a time? What?
Yeah. Give us your 3 bets that.
All right. So I talked about it earlier, but I'm going to be taking the Minnesota Vikings -3.5 is what I've got it at against the Panthers. I think the Vikings pretty much need a win, and they need it now. And there's just not a guy in that Panthers secondary that can do a single thing about Justin Jefferson. I mean, there's not really any corners in the league that probably can, but
No, and
uh,
Carolina is actually
with
missing pieces in that
with
secondary right
JC
now.
Horn out, their top guy, I just don't see how they can do much of anything to stop that passing game. So I'm gonna take Vikings, given the points. My second pick of the week. You want me to go, or are you gonna?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
give us your three picks for the
I
week.
I'm gonna take. I don't know what you have the line at, but I am gonna take the Rams, and I'm actually just straight up gonna take that money line at Indy, because I had it at
Yeah, I got the
one
line
and a
at
half.
1, but Rams money
But
line. Yeah.
I will take that. I think the Rams are. I think they're a pretty good team. I mean, I know we talked about the Bengals struggling, but that game was in Cincy. They did some good things. I think they're going to definitely be able to put pressure uh, on the Colts offense, and I think they get a couple turnovers, get some short fields, and I do think they win that game. And then my final pick, we talked about earlier, but I think the Cardinals are a scrappy team. I'm gonna take that plus 14. It's gonna be ugly.
Ooh,
It might require a little backdoor. But I think they, slow the game down enough, run the
it's
ball,
a scary number
keep the
either
clock
way, no matter
moving.
what side you take.
I am going to take the plus 14 with the Cardinals there.
All right. So we got Andrew's picks are Vikings 3.5, Rams money line, and Cards plus 14. My three picks for the week, I'm in agreement with you. Vikings 0-3 going to Panthers. I think they go off here. Kirk Cousins has thrown for 340 yards in every single game so far. I don't think the Panthers can stop them. They need a win. Vikings 3.5.
I think the only way Kirk doesn't touch that kind of number again is if they're up enough where they basically just start sitting on the ball.
Right. Second pick, we're going Browns minus 2.5. Browns have the number one defense right now. Ravens are playing completely injured. Division game. I think it'll be close, but I do think the Browns cover that minus 2.5. And then lastly, we're going with the Bucks getting 3 points at the Saints. Derek Carr is out. We got Jameis Winston playing, hasn't played in a while. The Bucks aren't as bad as everyone thinks. They've just come off a loss. I think they're going to bounce back here and cover that 3 points.
That is a revenge game there, though. You got to be a little
Yeah,
careful about that.
I know.
Jameis revenge, but that'll definitely be a fun one to watch, though. Kind of sneaky 2-1 game. Like one of those teams. Well, I guess they could tie, but one of those teams is going to
I
win.
just don't have trust in Jameis.
Yeah,
If he throws
either of
two or
those
three
teams.
picks like he's used to,
Yeah,
and
either of those teams
Baker
being
plays
at 3
halfway
and 1.
decent, I think I mean the Bucks are getting 3, but I think they're going to win outright.
Either of those teams being at 3 and 1 is definitely a surprise. You would not have expected something like that out of either of them going into the season. So
Right.
definitely a big game, division game for those two teams.
All right, so we got those picks locked in for the week. Yeah, that concludes our episode 1 of the Screenplay podcast. We'll be putting a new episode out every Wednesday, reviewing the NFL, giving our fantasy tips for the week, going over our gambling lines and where you think you should be throwing that money. So follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Appreciate y'all listening.
Yeah, drop some comments. Let us know what you thought, suggestions, anything. This is our first one. We're definitely open to listen to y'all and adding some things that y'all want to hear and tweaking it. So let us know.
Appreciate y'all.